Navod, thank you so much for joining me in the Tiny Sessions podcast.
Yeah, glad to be here.
It's lovely to meet you. For anyone who hasn't heard of you or hasn't seen your space, can you just tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, so I'm Navod Amir. I also go by Navod the Nomad. So I've been traveling for the last year up and down the East Coast in my Ford Transit high roof. And so I just made the journey from North Carolina across country to California. And so I tracked that whole journey on my page, so you can check that out. But yeah, so I'm just adventuring around the country. I just moved here for work to California right now. So that's just where me and the dog are. Living the beach life now.
That's so cool. What a journey that you've done as well, even just that like section as well. It's amazing. So did I see that you were growing up in, was it Princeville before?
Yes, Princeville, North Carolina. Yeah, that's
amazing. That's so cool. How was it growing up in Princeville?
It was nice. It was nice. It was a really good community-based thing. I always tell everybody you could get everything you need without leaving the city, from grocery to clothes, getting your hair done. So it was really self-sufficient city. So I loved it.
That's so cool. Everything was there. So now you're doing this huge leap where you're literally going into all these different states. And I can only presume that each one is completely different as well.
Yes, big difference. Big difference. It all seemed kind of similar, like when I got from North Carolina to maybe about Texas, but then like the second half of Texas where it was mostly like desert and stuff like that, like I wasn't prepared for that. So it was like, people were different, the stores were different, like it was just, prices were different, it was everything. It just started changing.
That's amazing. So literally after Texas, it just started like totally
changing.
It
just felt like a whole new world. Yeah.
Wow.
Felt like a whole new world. Yeah.
Had you traveled before that, or did you literally go from Princeville and then just did this big journey? Had you traveled other places as well?
Yeah, so I had went up and down the East Coast with the van. I got the van July 2021, no 2020, and I built it out in about 2 or 3 months. And so then I hit the road. So I had been on the road up and down the East Coast of the United States.
Yeah.
For about a year before I made this journey. So I had already been getting good practice in. So
that's cool. So
this was just my longest trip and furthest distance. Yeah, longest trip and furthest distance. Yeah.
Definitely. So you always had like a taste, so you knew what worked well for living in the space and everything like that.
Yeah, like I had a general idea. Yeah, I had a general idea.
But
you never know. It's like each trip is always different. So you learn something new every trip.
Yeah, that's it. And like you say, like the people that you meet are completely different in each area and everything like that. That's amazing. How are you finding it traveling solo and ranging? You've got is it Jess who you're with as well?
Yes, that's my partner.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice traveling alone sometimes because you get to have I don't know, just experiences that you can take your time and just soak them up the way you want to, because you travel differently if you're traveling with someone versus traveling by yourself. But so that's always nice, but a lot of people don't talk about the fact that it does get lonely sometimes, because when you're always bouncing around to new areas, it's sometimes you don't really get to meet people. And I'm not a super social person anyway, so some people it's not as hard of a thing for them. For me, it's a little difficult. So it's like, you could go some time before you interact with people. So sometimes that does get a little lonely, but it's still nice because it's once in a lifetime experiences that you typically are getting by yourself. So that kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, definitely. And I bet afterwards you must get sort of such a satisfaction because you can say, I did that. Like I have been on my own and I've explored like that place, and I can understand why it could be hard as well sometimes. Do you organise to arrange to meet guests at different places, or how do you make that work?
Yeah. So I've only been gone a month at this point,
cool.
And so she flew here for Thanksgiving.
Cool.
She flew to her and the dog flew to Carlsbad, so that's how I got him here. So I made the drive by myself. So they flew here for Thanksgiving, so they were here for about a week, and so left the dog here. So it's me and the dog now.
So you're not on your own now because you've got the dog.
Yeah. So I got my road buddy, my unofficial emotional support dog. So, but yeah.
I love that. That's so lovely. That's really nice. And I think it's really important that you say about how it works being able to do those trips solo as well. Um,
Mhm.
why did you feel that you needed to reach an ever-changing status quo? What was it that made you put you first and go, right, I'm going to do this trip or build this van?
Mhm. Oh man, that's such a good question. Um, it was just such a culmination of things, and I was like, I've been trying to make a post about that, but it's just like it's such a long thing. Like it just started, like all the events started lining up, but I just to boil it all down, I just really needed a change. I graduated high school and college early, so it's just kind of I kind of jumped full force into adulthood. So, by 22, I had a house, a
Wow.
master's degree, I had a corporate job, I had a long-term partner, and then it was just like, so by the time 27 rolled around, it was like, uh, I
What
never
do I
really got
do?
to, yeah, it was like I never really got to do what you normally do in that 20 to 25 year space
Yeah.
because I was being like a adult, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, so it was like, but I know I didn't want to go back and do what you're normally doing when you're
Yeah.
20 to 25 because I'm older than that. I'm not really interested in those things, but it was just more so that freedom
Yeah.
that age bracket represents of just being able to just go and just kind of do things without thinking
Yeah.
about it, just that freedom that you have in that age bracket. And so that was just something that I realized I had just kind of didn't do and missed out
Yeah.
on. So that was something I was trying to figure out how to work that back into my life. And so I had actually wanted to do van life when I was in college. So that was 2013, 2014.
Oh
But
wow.
I didn't end up doing it. And it wasn't really a van life thing then. It was just, I needed a place to stay. And I was like, man, I saw this RV. I kind of want to buy and stay in it. And all of my friends are kind of like, oh man, that's crazy.
They weren't too
That's crazy.
sure.
Yeah. That's like that's crazy. So I didn't do it. But then like I said, I just kind of got in this phase of my life now. And then I don't know, I just started going for it. And I've mentioned it a couple times on my page, but I read this book called Year of Yes by
Okay.
Shonda Rhimes. That book was recommended to me. And so after I read that, I got the van like a month later. And
Oh
then just
wow.
kind of been going from there because just the whole premises of the book is just for you to say yes to any opportunity that arises for 365 days.
Oh,
And so it's just a
365
exercise.
days.
Yeah, so the exercise just really gets you out of your comfort zone, and you just really realize how much you've been holding your own self back
Yeah.
because there's so many things that you want to do that you'll
Yeah.
say, "Oh no, I can't do that," or "Oh, I'm too old," or "Oh, whatever."
Yeah.
Um, so it was like I just read that, and I got the van and hit the road.
That is amazing. There's a group here in England called Say Yes More, and
Yeah.
they have them in different like areas of the UK, and they put up like adventures and trips and walks and all sorts of different things, and it's about just saying yes all the time.
Oh
So
yeah, I like that.
it really works. It's really cool.
It really does. Yeah, it really does.
I love that. That is so cool. So what do you feel like this journey has created for you? So you were saying that it's created freedom. Is there anything else that it's created as well?
Um, yeah, for me, I've really been aside from that freedom, just trying to learn how to enjoy that solitude. Sometimes, we spend so much time with other people. Sometimes, like we kind of depend on them
Yes.
for, our moods, whether it's being happy or sad or mad or just
Yeah.
whatever. So it's just trying to enjoy that company.
Yeah.
Being in your own company, that kind of thing. So that's something I've really been working on. It's a journey. It's a
Yeah.
journey, but that's something definitely for me. Learn how to enjoy that own company and just be able to trusting your own intuition and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's a really good quality to have as well. And I think when you're like yourself and you're living in your space on your own, you do
mhm,
have to just go with what your intuition is. You can't
mhm.
always just turn around to the next person and go, oh, what do you think? You have to go, right, what is right for me and what do I think, which is such a skill in itself.
Yeah, and it's like you spend so much of your life doing that. What do you think? What do you think? That you'll
Yeah.
build a life of what someone else thinks or what someone
Yeah.
else wants for you. And I was just like, I realized like, yeah, that's kind of how my life looks, and I don't really want that, you
Yeah.
know. So just trying to explore different things and building that confidence in myself then allows me to be able to, try other things like lately I've been getting back into music. I haven't done music in like a decade.
Oh, cool.
And so it's just kind of
Wow.
like it just, it allows you to be able to strengthen other skills. Like you
Yeah.
said, strengthen other skills or interests in yourself as you build that confidence. So it's like you're exploring out and you're doing these cool new things. You begin to also see yourself in a new light
Yeah.
because it's like, oh man, like at first I was like, man, you know, I've never really been anywhere. I haven't really done any much. Haven't done very much. So you might see yourself as kind of small. But at
Yeah.
this point, it's hard for me to put myself in that box because it's like, dude, I drove 3,000 miles across the
Yeah.
country. I'm living somewhere I've never been. I don't know anyone here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I did all of this, for the
Definitely.
most part on my own. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, then that allows you for that, how you see yourself to grow. Like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? So you no longer see yourself in that box. So it's like then you may begin to try different things. So it's like, so that's kind of what's brought on me getting back into music because that picture of myself has grown.
Yeah. So then you've
You
gone
know what
back
I'm saying?
into it.
Hmm.
I guess it's
Yeah.
like a confidence thing as well. You've kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
reignited that confidence
Right.
to go
Right.
back
Right.
into stuff.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do
And so I
you?
had made a post about that recently. I just feel like van life could be used as a tool. Because a lot
Yeah.
of people try to say like, oh, van life isn't like going and living in a van isn't going to solve all of your problems. And I told him
Yeah.
I agree, it isn't, but it's just kind of like you can use it as a tool,
Yeah. That's
so that
really
you can bring
interesting.
about what your flaws are. Like it'll bring that
Yeah.
up, and then from there you can then work on those things using van life as a tool. So like I realized like I had posted about like I think my first trip that I took, I was supposed to be gone for a day and I came back. So like I literally went and came right back. And then that's when I realized, oh man, I never realized how much separation anxiety I have
Yeah.
because I had never really had a reason to be away from home.
No.
Because I worked 10 minutes up the street,
Oh, I
when I was back in North
see.
Carolina. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, so that kind of thing. So it's like it allows you
Ah,
to bring out your flaws and then you can make that choice to then work on.
and to
You know
work
what I'm
on
saying?
them.
Hmm.
Definitely, definitely. That's so interesting. I really like that of using that lifestyle as a tool. I really like that.
Exactly.
It's really,
Yeah.
really interesting that. And do you find it really hard to meet people when you're traveling, or is that a thing where you just have to be the one to approach people? Or
Yeah. Well, for me personally, it's a little difficult because I'm on the spectrum. So it's a little difficult for me because socially, like I just sometimes I don't really be following what's going on. But lately, since I've been in California, I've been trying to get into like going to events and different things like that because that's kind of what you do
yeah,
here.
yeah,
So that's allowed me to be able to like meet some cool people. And then in this day and age, there's tons of apps to meet people or
yeah.
telling you what events are going on. So that's what I've been trying to do lately. But the community is really good on Instagram about
That's
kind
good.
of, banding together. And there's some band life apps that we kind of use. So if anything, you've got people online that you may link up with. So I've met, quite a few of the people that I've, been other the van lifers
Amazing. You
on
met up with
Instagram that
them.
and then we've met in person.
Oh,
So it's like
cool.
that's always an option. But as far as like out in person meeting people, I think it's probably a little easier in California to meet other van lifers because they're everywhere. Like where I'm parked
Okay.
right now, I think there's a van right beside me right now, and I'm in a
Oh, cool.
random grocery store parking lot.
Oh,
So it's like
cool.
van lifers are everywhere here. But other places, like you said, yeah, you just have to, learn to try to be more social. And so that's something else I'm working on because I've never really been like a super social person. So it's like that's something I'm
Yeah.
trying to work on.
That's amazing though. And like you say, if you're on the spectrum as well, it's a whole other thing for you, like
Oh
in
yeah.
terms of
Oh yeah.
effort, to be able to do that as well. So it's
Yeah.
a huge growing thing for you. Like it's amazing,
Definitely.
really.
Definitely, yeah. And that's why I just recently started sharing from that perspective instead of it just being like, oh, here's some cool, pretty pictures. Because that's kind of
Yeah.
how I was doing my van life at first. But it was kind of like, okay, in addition to that, it's like I'm living a really unique experience
Yes.
in van life. Um, and so I want people to know that other people on the spectrum, like you can do this. It may
Yeah.
require, more planning, or you may need to, do things a little differently, but you can do it just like everybody else
Yeah.
can. And so I just hadn't really seen that perspective shared. So that's why I just kind of shifted recently to sharing from that perspective. And so a lot of people have really been gracious and been sending me a lot of messages that they felt seen.
Yes.
And even if they're already in this lifestyle or they're looking into getting into it, they feel a bit more confidence now, knowing that someone that's like them has been doing it for a bit. So
That's
that's
it.
been positive.
I think that's what's so important and so special is that people can see you and go, oh, that's cool. I'm on the spectrum
Yeah,
too. Oh, it's okay, because people might be worried about, oh, if I'm on my own, I'm good with that. But then what if
yeah.
how do I meet people? How do I approach people?
Oh yeah,
And also it's so
yeah,
different
yeah,
as well. Everyone's spectrum is different. You can
yeah.
get like just onto the spectrum, you can have all different stages of it.
Exactly. And so like for me, it's mostly social. It's mostly
Yeah.
social. So it's not really like an intellectual issue. So, but even still, that still causes different difficulty. And so like for example, as the demographics started changing as I was traveling, I realized even how people speak is different. So
Yeah.
then, even though obviously we're both speaking English,
Yeah.
it became more difficult to communicate
Yeah.
because it's like I would tell someone something, they wouldn't understand what I was saying. And so
Yeah.
that would kind of create a little anxiety in me. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm miles away from home and these people don't know what
Oh.
I'm saying, but we're all speaking the same language. Like, what is going on? But it was just like, and it's like trying not to make that such a big deal and just learning
Yeah.
how to adjust and stuff like that. So
Oh,
yeah,
that I
it's a
think it's
journey.
amazing. It's so brave. It's honestly it's so inspiring that you've done that. I think it's fantastic. And when you're in those situations where you're talking to someone and there's just that communication barrier where it's not quite working, was your way to deal with it, did you just laugh it off, or how did you deal
Yeah.
with it, or did you eventually get there sort of in the end with
I
the
mean, I think it just depends on what it is. Sometimes if it's like, the person is just really adamant about the way they're saying it, like I might just
yeah
try to ask them like, I'm like, I'll tell them, like, I think I started telling people, I started with, I'm not from here. I think that's what I starting with.
yeah
So then I noticed people would kind of be a bit like off guard because I would just
ah,
randomly like walk up to somebody and be like, hey, and try to ask them for help or ask them
yeah
something. And they would just be kind of, just be kind of off putting. Like, I can't remember. I think it was once I got to California, the gas pumps, the
oh
way the
yeah
pumps look, they don't look the same the way they look
ah
on the East Coast. I don't know what that's about, but the gas pump isn't the same. So I
yeah
couldn't figure out how to get
how to
the gas pump in my gas tank. So I had
yeah
to ask this guy. And so at first he was looking at me weird. And so that's why I told him, I said, I'm not from here.
yeah
I said, and I'm trying to get gas and I don't understand how the pump works. And so
yeah
he started laughing and then he walked over and showed me. And so it was just kind of like that made it a bit easier. So it was just trying to, I think the biggest thing is just sometimes when you're on the spectrum, it's like you have to really, you're in your own world
yeah
sometimes. And so it's just like you said, learning how to communicate with people. But it was like I was traveling so fast, like I was hitting a different state almost every day.
that's amazing how
So
much you were
yes,
traveling
yeah. So it's like it didn't start to slow down until I got to kind of like Texas, but it was like the landscape was changing everywhere. So
yeah
it's like I'm having to consistently, stretch myself to be able to think differently or communicate with other people. And it's like
yeah
normally when you're on the spectrum, sometimes we have the habit of creating safe spaces, which is good, but sometimes those safe spaces box us in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And make it
Yeah.
to where you can't really pivot
Yeah.
as quickly as you need to when things come up in life. So that's something that I feel like this road trip alone, not just van life, but this specific road trip has really helped me with. So it's like if something comes up, you know, I don't start with having a meltdown. Like I might feel
Yeah.
sad, like, oh man, this really sucks. But then I'll think like, oh, okay, I've did something really big. So I have
Yeah.
the ability to break this down into chunks
Yeah.
and get it done, you know. So
That's a really good idea as well, of breaking it down. So instead of it feeling like this big thing, break it down
yes,
into smaller chunks and it feels more manageable, maybe.
yes. So it's
That's
just
so
been,
cool.
you know, finding what works for you and just, you know, finding your coping mechanisms or whatever you can on the road. But it can be done. We can do it.
That's so cool. I love that. And you were saying that you've had people approach you and say, like, I'm so glad that you've spoken about this as well, about being on the spectrum, and that they're really glad that they can see themselves, and
Oh
sort
yeah,
of you're representing yourself, but other people too. Do
definitely.
you find also that falls into everything else? So in terms of culture and ethnicity and background and things like that, do you find that people are approaching you and saying, oh, this is really cool what you're doing, I
Yeah.
feel like I could do this now too?
Oh yeah. I had that experience a lot. And then I'm a really diverse person, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of groups. So you'll have like you know, my community, the African American community. I'm
Yeah.
Afro Latin, so you'll have other Afro Latinos.
Cool.
You said people that are on the spectrum or just, you know, anything, people that are from my city, or so it's like I'm a really diverse person. So I've had people in different areas, you know, of my life be like, man, I could see myself in you. So it's nice. So in all of those areas that you mentioned, yeah, that's been the case. So
That's
it's
so
been really
cool.
nice.
Did you ever feel that you had that as well, or like did you ever feel that you had someone that you saw that you were like, ah, that I could do that? Was there someone like that who you saw?
Yeah.
Or
Oh yeah. There was a few ladies I saw online. Candace
amazing.
Love is one of them I saw. She's really good. I think she was one of the first ones I saw. And then I saw another one, Queen Tosh is her name. I think it's
Cool.
Queen Tosh Empire, I think it's her page. But yeah, those were the first two people I had seen. And then there's one more lady that's off the grid with a kid.
Oh,
So those are
cool.
the yeah. So those three people, they were the first ones I saw a few years ago. I saw them on YouTube, and so um, they were all kind of doing it on not like extreme budgets.
Yeah.
They were kind of, for the most part, doing it on their own. And then they were also African American as well.
Oh,
And so it was
cool.
just kind of like, oh, okay, all right. And so it was just the way they were explaining their process and the way they traveled and things like that. So it made me feel like, okay, yeah, I think I can
You
handle
could
that.
do
And
that.
so
Yeah.
so it was like I saw them a few years ago, but you know, I had told you I wanted to do it in 2014 before it was kind of like van life was a thing.
Yeah.
So it was like when they kind of randomly popped up and I saw them, it kind of made me be like, okay, people are living this as a lifestyle, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, yes, okay, so that's not crazy. And then these are
That's
people
so
that look
cool.
like me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that definitely helps. Representation definitely helps.
That's so good, because I always worry that there aren't enough representation of everyone, especially like when you
Mm.
say about that you're Latino and American and African as well. And I just think like it's so important for people
Mhm.
to be able to be seen. And
Oh yeah.
sometimes I'm like trying to find people say come and talk to me, and loads of people out there, and sometimes I worry that people haven't made that jump yet because maybe they
Mhm.
haven't seen like yourself and the girls and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
it is starting to become more of a thing where people feel the confidence to go, oh, I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to like
Yeah.
tell my journey and things like that. So I think it is going in the right direction. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah, I definitely feel so. The latest group that I've been talking to a lot is mostly like Black males. Our group
Cool.
isn't largely represented in the van life community. And
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's necessarily that it's not largely represented. There's just not a lot of us. And so there's been a lot of guys that I've talked to lately that they're like, okay, man, this is really cool. You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't know other black guys were doing this.
No.
So that's been really cool, and I'm excited about that other guys are thinking about getting on the road and giving it a shot.
That's
So
cool. That's so good
yeah,
to hear. Oh, it's really, really cool. I love that. Oh, it makes me really happy to hear that.
oh yeah,
You have traveled to so many states already. Your aim is to travel
yeah,
to 50 states in total, is it?
yeah. Yeah, that's the goal because we have 50 here, so that's the goal to do all 50. Yeah,
Wow, that is
I don't
amazing.
really have like a time limit, but yeah, like
Cool.
a timetable or anything. But
That's good. You haven't got that pressure on you to be able
no,
to
no,
sort of
no.
whiz through them. That is so, so good. So, how have you been able to finance this trip so far?
Work. Yeah, I get that question a lot. A lot of people I've gotten asked, are my parents rich? I've gotten asked a number of things, but no, I work a regular job like everybody else.
Nice, nice. And what's your job in?
So I work in private equity. So I work with
Cool.
investments.
Amazing.
So yeah, I work 40 hours like everybody else. I
That's
just work
so
remote.
cool. So you can just do remote working. And is that with a company from your hometown as well?
Now I'm with a company in California, and so
Oh,
that's why I had
cool.
made the move. And so it's kind of cool because I wanted to go to California anyway, and I said that at the beginning of the year. And so then just a string of things happened, and then I ended up in California with a job at the end of the year. So that was
Oh,
kind of cool.
amazing.
So yeah, so I was working with a company in mutual funds in North Carolina, but now I'm working in private equity in California. So
Amazing. That
yeah.
is so cool. And that's great because if that is working with them as well, and you can work with them, but you can also work remotely, I presume, as well, on top of
Hmm.
it. And I guess they already know about like your lifestyle and things like that. So it's so cool that there are jobs out there that do accept remote workers now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's been a game changer. My last job, I have been remote prior to the pandemic. I have been remote probably for the last maybe three or 4 years or
Oh,
so.
cool.
Um, and so that last part of that, I was traveling up and down the East Coast in my van because I have
Yeah,
internet in here. So I work from the van. And so sorry, my
that's all right. You're back.
better. Sorry about that.
That's
But yeah, so my last position was fully remote. So I was traveling up and down the East Coast in the van since I have internet in here. And so when I switched to my new position in California, I was working as I road trip across.
ah,
So I
so
worked the full
cool.
time. But I still was able to travel and everything like that. And so here I've just been stationary in California right now as I just get situated with the job and everything. And so in the next month or so, I'm hoping to get back on the road. So I'll still be working, but I want to explore
Be
some of the
able to
West
carry
Coast
on.
states. Yeah, explore
Yeah.
some of the West Coast. So
That's so exciting. I love that.
oh yeah.
It just works, doesn't it? Being able to do the two in that way. And it's great that you've been able to find a company that does that as well. In terms of the internet, you've said that you've got like an internet setup. What did you go for your internet setup?
Yeah, so I actually let me see, can I grab it really fast? I have a okay, here we go. I keep it pretty close. So I have
Ah,
this box here. It's by Verizon. It's called a MiFi Jetpack, and so
uh-huh.
MiFi is just mobile internet. Like you have Wi-Fi. This is
Yeah.
MiFi. And so it's basically like a mobile hotspot.
Oh, I see.
And so it does the same thing that the hotspot on your phone does,
Yeah.
but the signal is a little stronger. And then sometimes, your phone will get really hot when you use your hotspot for too long. So
Yeah.
this is a separate device from your
Yeah.
phone. So that way you can still fully use your phone, and then this will still be running.
Oh,
And
that's
this can,
cool.
yeah, so you can connect quite a bit devices. So it's like I'll have my TV running, my phone, my laptop, everything will run on it at one time. And so I didn't do all of the extra antennas and things that everybody else does normally,
Yeah.
because I knew that for the most part I would be in town, like in town and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, that's just my preference right now.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be venturing off and going into like, out in the desert, and you're going to be like,
Yeah.
or in the forest or just different things like that, and then you probably should get like the signal extenders. But this is all I have. right here.
And it's working.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's shocked because, like I said, most people they get all the extra stuff, but this is literally all I
Yeah,
have,
that's
and I worked all
amazing.
the way across the country with it. So
It just shows, doesn't it? It does, it just
yeah,
shows.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So I
so
mean, I don't
cool.
know, but yeah. So it's nice. So it's basically like you just go get it from your phone company, and it's just like having another phone, basically.
Yes, you just pay
But
like
this phone
monthly.
only does, yeah, but this phone only does your internet. You
Yeah,
can't do anything else with it. So,
yeah.
but
No,
yeah, it's a
that
nice
makes
device.
sense. That's cool.
Hmm.
Oh, that's great. That is, it's always really handy to know what people use, especially when people are hearing that you're working remotely and things like that. It's really handy to know what is working for you right now as well.
Oh yeah, oh
That's
yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
and it's important too. Like I think it's just um to know where you're gonna be,
Yeah,
because some people, they prefer to work, out
yeah,
away from town and things like that. So like you said, then those are the kind of setups you would need, where you would need something like this,
yeah,
plus a signal extender or some
yeah,
other things like that. But I planned mine around being in town
yeah,
when I work.
yeah.
So that's why I was able to get away with this. So it's
I
just like
see.
anything, whether it's your full build period. That's why I have to tell
Yeah,
everybody the your van build period has to be based around, how you want to do this. You can't really just like
yeah,
pick a person and copy them. Like you have to
yeah.
plan it around exactly how you want to live this lifestyle, and then that's how you have to build everything out. So that's always my advice.
That's a really good tip for working out how to build everything because people get really overwhelmed of where
Uh-huh.
to put things or where do I want my bed or do I want a workstation. So that's really, really good advice. I love that.
Hmm.
Really, really cool. So with your traveling in your van around America, have you got any tips for traveling around in the American states so far?
Oh man. Um, each region is definitely different.
Yeah,
Um, and like I was saying before, it's different whether you're going to be in town or more so out, like in the country or the
yeah,
desert, that kind of thing. Um, Camping or boondocking, more so they call it, kind of like in the city, is a different ball game because there's always the threat of being towed. But man, I think my first piece of advice that everybody always gives is to download all of the van life apps. I think
yeah,
that's the first thing. And then from there, then to just kind of decide, like I always say, decide how you want to do this and what your plan is. Do you want to boondock or stealth camp? Like, do you want to just like, park in parking lots kind of
yeah,
thing, or do you want to do campsites or that kind of thing? And so there's a loads of apps that are out now that you could get, and just start from there. So I think that's I think honestly that's my main piece of advice. Um, as far as just traveling from state to state goes, yeah, because it's really different from every region.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, every
definitely. And I
region is
guess all the
different.
rules change as well from each region. You know, when you say about that you can get towed and things like that, I guess each region has different rules
Yeah,
because they're so
yeah,
big,
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah. And then some of them it's just like some of them are just more lenient than others, even if the
Okay.
signs are there. Some states are just quicker. Like I don't know. I didn't stay in Louisiana very long, but I did hear some people saying that Louisiana doesn't tow very often. But
Okay.
I never really had any issues with being towed on the East Coast. And
Ah,
I parked everywhere. So it was like once I started getting further away from the East Coast, and it was like I almost got towed twice, I think, on the road trip.
oh,
But last night was
really?
the first time I actually got towed. But
Oh.
but but either way, like on the East Coast, I never had that problem. Because
Oh.
I built out my van in what I call stealth mode. So it's basically on the East Coast, van life isn't really big yet. There aren't a lot of people
Oh,
doing it.
really?
No, it's not. It's not a big thing. So when people see this van, they typically just think it's a work van,
Yeah.
or like it's a 16 passenger van, or like
Yeah.
just carrying people or something. So I would park it anywhere and nobody ever bothered me. So like I could
Yeah.
literally park it at Lowe's overnight. I could park it like at some car shop. Like I could park it anywhere overnight and I would have no problems. Over here, that is not the case. On the West Coast, that is not the case.
I've
And
heard that
so,
with California as well, and that it's really
yeah, that's not,
expensive
yeah,
and everything, and so many fines.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna be trying campsites next week. So we should see how
Okay.
that's gonna go because I've never done that. So that should be interesting.
Ah, that'll be interesting.
But
And I guess, do you find as well you have a bit of, we call it peace of mind. So, for example, like when you go to the campsites, hopefully you don't have to worry when you're at work if your van's going to be there or not. Like you don't have to have that worry.
yeah, well, there's the truth. But my van is kind of like my house and my transportation. So the van's
Yeah.
coming with me when I go to work. But um, but yeah, I could see that. Like if you have an RV or something like that, that is something you really would want to be concerned with.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Oh,
definitely.
wow.
But yeah,
And
luckily mine is coming with me.
oh, that's good. Have you found that all the spaces and well, sorry, all the places that you've gone to, have any of them felt more safer than others when you're sort of traveling solo, or have they all been pretty okay and you've just got sort of your things that you do to keep yourself safe?
I think it's mostly that last one you said, like you just
Yeah.
kind of have the things that keep yourself safe. Um, we always talk about it's a different experience. At least, in previous years, it's been a different experience traveling as a person of color,
Yeah.
through certain states. And I had a lot of people that were concerned about my safety when I was traveling through
Yeah.
those states, for good reason. But it's kind of like if you're already a person of color from the South, it's like you kind of already travel with some of these things in mind.
Yeah.
So it's not to belittle other people's experiences, but it's like because I've been in the South all my life. When I travel through certain areas, if it didn't feel like okay, I might park somewhere and this spot gives me a bad gut feeling. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
go ahead. Or if I park and I'm trying to get gas and people are looking at me a little weird, like they've never seen anybody like me, then I know this
Yeah.
probably isn't somewhere to park. But
Yeah.
so, or just different things like that. But for the most part, like you said, it's just you travel differently.
Yeah.
When you're already from the South, you travel different. So it allows you to sometimes avoid certain experiences,
Yeah.
than other people that might just travel not thinking about these certain things. Like I was talking with a friend, I said, okay, I said, if you're going, like, for example, most people of color know that if you're traveling, you don't let your gas tank get under a half a tank. Like that's
Yeah.
just like this understood traveling rule for people of color. And so
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, so different stuff like that. And so the reason why you have those rules is kind of like, okay, if you're traveling and there's only one gas station and the gas station is like one that's kind of like, say you take the exit and the only thing that's there is that gas station, that's
Yeah.
probably not the town to stop in.
Right.
You
Yeah,
want
I
to stop
see.
somewhere where it's like a whole town. So you
They've
want to
got
see,
everything there.
yeah, if you want to see food, you want to
Yeah.
see Walmart, you want to see,
Yeah.
that's the place to stop. And so if you have a half tank, you have enough to skip this gas station, make it to
And
the next.
go to the
But if you
next.
don't have enough gas, then now you've put yourself in a position to where negative
Yeah.
experiences are higher. There are a higher chance for these
Yeah.
negative experiences to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like just even never letting my gas tank get below half, I feel like has allowed me to avoid certain experiences.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like literally
Yeah.
that simple. So it's just like a list of little things like that, kind
I think that's a really good tip as well. It's such a,
of for anybody, really.
it's for anyone really, but I mean, it's fascinating that that has to be something that you have to, it's almost just implanted in you. Like you say with your friends,
Yeah, it's
it's just
crazy.
one
Like
of
you
those
really don't even
things.
think about it.
It's
Yeah, you really don't
crazy.
even think about it. It's crazy. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's like it keeps you safe. So you gotta do what
Yeah.
you gotta do.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, I always like to ask my community to ask yourself a question. And that question that they wanted to ask you is, what is your favorite dish to cook in the van?
Oh, that's a good question. I typically do like jasmine rice,
Yeah,
and I'll like season it with sesame, and then I cook these. I'm plant based, so
yeah,
there's these plant based sausages that I like chop up and cook
yeah,
those, and so I just have like the camp so the camp so,
yeah,
and so yeah, so I just do that really in one pot kind of,
Oh,
and I just eat
lovely.
that. So I mean, it's just me, so I don't have to make it pretty.
Yeah, no, that's lovely though. Those meals are the
But it's,
best meals though.
oh yeah, and then put some guacamole on top, and you got a meal.
Yes. Oh, that sounds great. Sounds so good. I always like to ask a question at the end of each podcast, and that is sustainability wise, what do you wish that you or we had more of?
Hmm. As far as for specifically for van life or just in the world period,
It
or
could be in the world period, it could be for van life, it might be an item that you wish was sustainable or that we had more of it, or it's a very big
hmm,
question. You can choose
that
so
is, I
much.
know, man. Hmm. More sustainable. I don't know. Other than gas, I don't know because I spent a ton of that. But
Oh yeah. Oh, would it have
but
been
yeah,
good
other
if
than
gas was it
something about gas. But yeah, no, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure, honestly. That's a big question.
is a
Yeah.
big question. Sometimes people choose things like I was used to say to people like we can get bamboo toothbrushes, but when your bamboo
Oh,
toothbrush like wears away or goes soft, then people sometimes might recycle it and use it as like a plant like label or something. But sometimes people think, well, there should be a better option than that. So
okay,
sometimes
okay,
there's things
okay,
that you might be using. It might be something that you use in your van. You think,
okay.
oh,
Well,
there could be a
I
better
use a
version of
ton of
this.
trash bags. Yeah, I use a ton of trash
Do
bags. So
you?
I know most people try to go the no trash route. That's a little
Yeah,
hard for me, but yeah, I definitely use a ton of trash bags. Yeah, I'm just looking around trying to see. But yeah, I think that's my main thing. Yeah. I
amazing.
should
So
probably get some reusable bags,
yeah,
but
yeah. So we need more, maybe just more accessible, sort of easy access to stuff like that. And like, do you find it quite easy to be able to get rid of your trash or recycle or anything like that?
um, it's honestly it's a little hard to get rid of trash sometimes.
Yeah,
At least on the West Coast anyway, because the trash cans are like super small at the gas
yeah.
stations. I don't know. I noticed really weird things, but the trash cans here are smaller, so I didn't have that problem on the East Coast. I just put my bag in the trash can, but
But here
now
they've
it's
got a
like
tiny little
yeah, tiny little
area.
cans. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes I have to drive around with it for a little while before I can find somewhere to put it.
Oh, I love.
Um, but yeah.
I think that is your answer, isn't it? It is to have more recyclable trash cans as public spaces. So people
Yeah.
can just recycle really easily and just drop it
Yeah.
off. That would be really cool, just in public
Yeah, that'd be
spaces in
good.
general. Instead of just having your normal trash like bin, actually having recyclable ones that
Yeah.
like you can recycle as you're going would be really
Yeah,
cool.
something like that. And then I think I don't know, here in on this side of town where I live, I wish they had something more so for water. Homelessness
Yeah.
is becoming a huge issue here. And to save money though, a lot of the cities here are doing this thing where they use recycled water outside.
Ah.
So, normally where I'm from on the East Coast, it's kind of normal to see like if a homeless person needs some water, they might just get it from some spigot like on the side of a
Yeah.
business or some just a quick drink or something. But here, a lot of the things here use recycled water. And so it has signs
Ah.
that says recycled water, don't drink. So it's
Oh.
like it's helping the city save water, but then it's kind of cutting off accessibility to people that are experiencing homelessness to be able to
Yeah.
get water. And I don't mean van like people. I mean, because we can get water from campsites or
Yeah.
different things like that. But
Yeah.
that's just one thing I've noticed out here on the West Coast. I wish they had something a little different as far as water goes, since they've
Definitely.
chosen to go recycling water as like a citywide thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's really interesting. I didn't even know that they've
yeah, me
decided
neither.
to do that.
I've never seen that before, but there's signs
No,
everywhere that it says recycle water and use, do not drink.
don't drink it.
So
Oh,
yeah,
how fascinating. That's so
yeah,
bizarre. Where do you get your
yeah.
water from to be able to fill up your
Well,
van?
honestly, I haven't had to use mine because luckily, like, my job has a shower at work,
Perfect.
and then we work in a really like modern space. So I have to
Cool.
wash my dishes. I wash my dishes at work. So I just filled up my tank at my home base in North Carolina before I left. And so I haven't, it's the same tank. So it's
Fantastic.
about time to change it now. But I've just been eating a ton of fast food. But I'll
Treating
probably will have
yourself.
a better answer once I start cooking and things on a regular basis.
Yeah,
I had to
definitely.
come and try all the California food first.
Oh, definitely. You can't go to these states and not try it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, Navin, thank you so much for joining me on the Tiny Sessions podcast.
Yeah, no problem. I had a good time.
It's so lovely to chat to you. For anyone who wants to find out more about you, you are on Instagram under Navod the Nomad.
Yes, Instagram and TikTok, Navod the Nomad. Yep.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. You're on TikTok too. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Navod.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was so good. It was so interesting chatting to you.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's fascinating. And honestly, I would not have known that you're on the spectrum until you said.
Yeah, that's what a
I
lot of
would
people
not have
say. But
known.
like, like I said, for me, it's mostly social. Like, so I did really well in school, so it's not really an intellectual issue. It's just
Yeah.
it's hard for me interacting with people sometimes
Yeah.
because a lot of times they don't understand what I'm saying for some reason.
Well, I understood you.
Yeah.
How did you find it chatting through Zoom
No, I
together?
think it was
Did you
good.
find it easy to understand the questions?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. I think it was
That's
pretty good.
cool. I found it really,
Yeah.
really good. I thought it was great. I would never have known. So it's good to know that
Yeah.
you found it really easy and relaxed as well.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you.
That's so cool. So what are you up to for the rest of today? You don't have to do any more work, do you?
No, no, no. So I'm just relaxing now, just figuring out what's next. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. What are your plans for the weekend?
So I've got another load of podcast guests tomorrow on our Sunday.
Okay.
I'm doing like 4 throughout the day, but like spread out, so I have like little
Yeah.
breaks in between. So I'm going to be chatting to a load of other lovely people tomorrow.
Awesome.
And we got a Christmas tree today, so we did that. Yeah, just I think, I'm getting my van fixed. So my van needed to get its MOT done, and it failed the first time. So I'm getting the welding done tomorrow, and then it's getting re-MOT'd on Tuesday, which will be so nice when that's all done.
And so do you have a like a van you drive, or do you have one you're converting, or
Yeah, so I've got a van that I've been converting. So me and my dad,
awesome.
we started it. I got it a year ago, actually. It was in December that I got it, and we've been converting it like throughout all the lockdowns and like
Yeah,
throughout. And
yeah.
it's towards the end of the conversion now. So inside, it just needs the floor to go in and just a few little like tweaks, but pretty much everything's all done inside, and we've got to seal the top. So the top of the roof is fiberglass,
Hmm.
and it didn't have like a sealed coating over the top, so water eventually would like seep in. I kept
Yeah.
seeing this like run of water. I was like, no. Where's the
Oh my
water?
gosh.
And it would be really slowly, but we get a lot of rain here sometimes, and it just
Yeah, yeah,
goes for it. So I was really worried because we put this new ceiling inside, and I thought,
yeah.
what if it's all coming underneath and sitting there? I just had horrible visions of it coming down and stuff.
I,
So we've been sealing it. We've got the stuff to do the final seal over the top, which fingers crossed means that the water won't start seeping through. So that's the like
yes.
last biggest thing. I was going to like paint it and fix it. Like I had when I bought it, it came with like dents and scratches and things like that. So at the moment, it's just like a white van. And I was going to paint it and put like my logo on and things like that. But it was so expensive to get it painted and fixed. And there
Yeah,
are ways that some people do paint it themselves as well. So there is that option. But I think
yeah,
right now, I think I'm really happy with knowing the inside is done.
yeah. That's how
And
I feel.
then,
I didn't even think about painting mine. Like it would have
Yeah.
been cool because I wanted mine to be
Yeah.
like this cool like matte green color or something, but
Yeah.
I don't care. Like you said, I prefer to have it inside with everything I need in.
That's it. That's it. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's happened, which is really interesting because at first I was like, yeah, it's going to be this. And mine was going to be a sage green color. And I was like, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
going to have like this color and I'm going to put my logo on and all this stuff. And then
Yeah.
as like my money started like disappearing, because
Yes,
things come up
it
as you're
goes
like
fast.
building, or a
Yes.
problem comes up and you're like, oh, I better fix
Yes.
that. And like as those things came up, I then was thinking, actually, you know what? Like if I wait until that's done, I won't ever go off out in it. Whereas if I just make sure the inside's done and the roof is sealed, then I can go off, and I can always do that at a later date if I
Yeah,
want
you do it
to.
later if you
But
want to, and then you may not
yeah,
even care about it at that point.
exactly. So yeah, it's really nearly finished. So when it's done, I'll try and do a little video of it and show people.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
so pleased with it. Me and my dad have like worked on it together, and I've learned
yeah. That's
so
exciting.
much stuff as well, like with like
Yes.
building and tools, and I'm
Yeah.
really like hands-on, so like my dad would laugh at me. I'd be in the garage and like I'd get like the drill or like the saw and I'd be like, I'm ready. Let me go. So it's really good
Do you have a
fun.
shower in yours? I don't have a shower in mine, but do you have a shower in
No, so
yours?
I decided
Okay.
not to get a shower in mine. So I looked at doing a shower and then I worried about the moisture from the shower. I worried
Me
about the
too.
extra water like tank that I needed. And also I worried about if it would leak as well. And then I looked at like pop-up style showers inside. But I know some of my friends have got like a shower that they hook onto the back of the door, and they do
Yeah.
those. And you can get ones that are like almost like mini tubs that you can put inside and you can like fill up and do like have almost like a little bath that way as well. They're like little pop-up ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the end I was like, the sort of problems that could happen like outweighed the
Yeah.
idea of having it. But I have got a toilet, and I got like a camping one, so I wanted to make a
Yeah. Same here.
compostable toilet, but I got a camping version, and then I've just got like a separator. The most expensive bit was the separator, not the actual toilet, but the separator sits on top, and then I've got like, then I can put the sawdust and everything in. And so I think I'm really pleased that I've gone for the toilet, because I would have had more space if I didn't have the toilet in there. But I'm really glad I've got it, because I've been out in it just a couple of times, like with my friend. And it's nice that if you need to use the toilet, I haven't got to go outside, especially if
Yes.
I'm on my own as well.
Yes, and that's been good for me too. Like if you're somewhere like I might like to go hang out at a park or something like that, and maybe the park doesn't have a bathroom or it's super
Yeah.
far away. I just go in the van and then go right back to the
Yeah.
party or wherever it is. So it's just
Yeah. It's much
just that
easier.
accessibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I've got like
Yeah.
little things, like I've got like a little like a bench. I call it the sofa. I've got a little bench. And then I've basically, the van, I tried to create a space that had the things that I needed in it. So it's got a kitchen and an oven and a bed and things like that. But I tried to create it so it still felt open. So the toilet at the moment it's open, it's not like closed off. And the sofa that's created, it's a bench, so it's open underneath and it's bamboo on the top, so you can see through it. So I've tried to create it really like light and open space, but still put as much as I can in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
good. Yeah, we have a lot of similar things. I have a bench too. And
that's cool.
that's right here that I'm sitting
Oh,
on.
that's
So that's
so
the bench there.
cool.
And then it's open underneath, and that's where my fridge is. I don't know
Oh,
if
I
you really
like
see that,
that.
but that's the fridge.
Oh, I
So that's kind of
see.
cool. Mine is like that too. And then my
Yeah.
toilet's in the back, because I know a lot of people have theirs like where it pulls out into the kitchen, and that just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't think
I've
I'd want to
seen
go to the
so
loo by
many
the
vans like that.
kitchen.
That makes no sense. Why would you want your toilet in the kitchen? Because like most people will have where their bed is in the back, and then the toilet pulls out
Yes,
right
I've
here into the
seen that.
kitchen. I've seen it, and it makes
Oh, I
no
have
sense.
seen that.
So my toilet is in the back corner.
I see. So you've got your bed
Yeah,
slightly more
slightly forward. Yeah, and then
forward,
I have a
so
closet.
then
I
it's
only saw one guy with a closet, so I copied him. I don't remember who it was. I have a, I don't know if you can see it, right there. Hold on, let's see. Oh, I can't turn. Oh, yes, I can. Hold on. Oh no, that's still me.
oh, it didn't do it.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay, so right there. So
cool.
that's that big white thing there. That's a stand-up closet. So all of my clothes are hanging up in there.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah,
that's amazing. By bringing that bed into, although it's not the middle, but bringing it into the middle almost, you've
yeah.
created a room either side. That's really
Basically,
interesting.
yeah. So there's a closet with a door on it, and so I have all my clothes in there.
That's
And
so
then I have
cool.
across from it is the camp toilet, like you were talking about. I have that, and
Yeah.
I just built a little box, and so it's sitting inside of this box with a
Yeah.
lid, and I put a cushion on it, so I could sit on that and use that as an extra seat when I'm sitting at the
Ah,
back.
that's so cool.
And then you take the cushion off and open it up, and there's the toilet.
That's cool. Is
So
your
I
bed
put it.
fixed?
No, it can come down in the middle, and it can separate into half and be like
Ah,
two small ones,
oh
basically.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
yeah, but it's
clever.
yeah, it's a little extra now. I thought about making it stationary now, but yeah, so it looks stationary, but once you
Yeah.
take the cushions off, then you see like the middle part can drop down. And so it's like a long walkway from the back to the front. It was
Ah,
really useful when I wasn't traveling full time. It was
yeah.
useful. But traveling full time is not really useful. So I don't take it down. Since I've been on the road, I haven't taken it down. But
Yeah.
when
Do
I
you
just
find
traveled
that?
like yeah, when I just traveled periodically, I would take it down just to have more space, or if I was
Yeah.
building something at my house to be able to fit materials in here or stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah.
That makes sense. Well, you were going to say something about the closet earlier as well. Were you going to say something else?
No, I don't. I think that was it. Yeah, no. I just, like I said, I just went with it because I
I
like
love
to
that.
dress.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. I've got
so
a
I
pull
wanted to be able
out
to have as much as I
closet.
could. Yeah. Oh, that's neat. I like
So
that.
under the bed, there's a cupboard, there's a drawer at
Okay.
the bottom, and then
Yeah.
above, you can get these like, it's like a pull out rail. So it
Hmm.
pulls out and then you can hang stuff on. I've done that. I was
I
really
like
fun.
that.
So
That's
we've got
neat.
similar things.
Yeah,
I
we do
like
have a lot of
that.
similar things. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't see a lot of people who have like closets and stuff.
No, no, no. Yeah, I know. 'Cause like I said, I hadn't seen anybody with it, and I seen one guy with the closet, and then I seen another guy with the TV, and I was like, gotta have it.
You gotta have, what is it? I've got a I haven't got a TV, but I got it on eBay and I got like a little mini projector. So
Okay,
I've got
okay.
one of those, but I think I need to think of where it would like sit in case I need to make
Yeah,
like a little shelf for it or something.
yeah. That's what I had at first, but it's like I initially built the van out in like that first 2.5, like 3 months. But then I would think of something else, or I would see
Yeah.
something else, and
Yeah.
I would change it. And so I was doing the projector first, and I would project it from like back here onto that
Onto
curtain
the,
there.
yeah, yeah,
And so, but then it was like it was just so much to set up. Like
yeah.
I would have to plug it in, and then I would have to. I didn't have like a Bluetooth one because I just got
I see.
like a TV. So then I would have to like plug my phone in, and it
Yeah.
was just such a thing. So I was like, this is too much. So I put the TV in here because I mostly use it as a monitor
Yeah.
for work. So
I
like if I
see.
need two
Yeah.
monitors, yeah. So I mostly just use it for work. But so I have it over there. Let me see. I have it over there. Oh, camera flips so slow. There it is. So I have that up
Oh,
there.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
neat.
So it just kind of, and it's up there on a swivel.
That's cool.
So you
Oh,
can
I
just kind of move it
see. So you
around.
can move it
Yeah.
around. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's really handy. That's
Yeah. So
really cool.
I just, like I said, I just have it up there for work. But I had seen a guy, he was like, he had this like small desk and he was like there working. He had the TV hanging out of the wall. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So then I had to like change it up like how I had the van at the
Yeah.
time so that I could fit that in there because I was like, I love that.
I love that you like, I've got to have that.
Yeah, I got to have it.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so cool. Well, I best let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, especially after your hectic day that you've had. But it's so lovely chatting to you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.